managing our money, trying to save a bit, maybe even thinking about investing. It's so fundamental, right?
It really is. But the odd thing is, most of us never actually had a class on it.
Exactly. We're just sort of expected to figure it all out.
Yeah, and there's just so much information flying around, it can feel, well, overwhelming, like drinking from a fire hose sometimes.
Which is precisely why we're doing this deep dive today. We've waded through quite a few sources, some beginner guides, some more detailed financial overviews.
And our mission really is to pull out the practical stuff, the actual steps you can take to build a solid financial base.
Think of it as maybe a shortcut to the essentials.
Yeah, the things that actually make a difference with your money.
So if you're feeling a bit lost in the, let's say, the personal finance shallows, we've gone deep to bring you some actionable insights.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so where do we start? The very first thing it seems that all our sources hammer home is you got to know where you are right now, financially speaking.
Absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
you can't plan a route without knowing your starting point,
It
right?
makes sense.
So our source is really stress tracking your income.
Yeah.
That's, the money actually hitting your bank account after taxes. And then, crucially, where it's all going, your expenses.
Right. And not just a vague idea like, oh, I spend money on food. One guide suggested breaking it down, needs versus wants.
Yeah, needs being the essentials, rent, utilities, groceries, that kind of thing. And then discretionary spending, eating out, entertainment, maybe that new gadget you've been eyeing.
And they recommend getting really specific, don't they?
They do track every dollar for a month. Seriously. Use a notebook, use an app, whatever works. It can be quite revealing. You might be surprised where the money's actually going.
I bet. Definitely an eye-opener for many people. Okay, so you got that snapshot. You know the inflow, the outflow. What's the next big step?
Goals. Setting financial goals. Our sources highlight this again and again.
And we're not just talking about like saving for a coffee tomorrow.
No. Think different horizons. Short-term goals, maybe that weekend trip, or saving for a specific purchase. Medium term could be a down payment on a car, maybe a house.
Yeah, and the big one.
And the big one, yeah, long-term goals. Retirement's usually top of the list there.
One of the sources had a really interesting way of framing it. Something like, imagine yourself years down the line celebrating a big milestone. What does your financial picture look like then?
Oh, that's good. It forces you to think ahead, to really define what you want your money to do for you.
Or conversely, what kind of financial stress you want to avoid later by planning now.
Exactly. Powerful motivators.
Okay, so snapshot taken, goals are starting to form. What's the absolute bedrock, the non-negotiable foundation?
Emergency fund. Hands down. Every source agrees on this.
Right. This is the buffer, the life happens fund.
Precisely. For the unexpected stuff, you lose your job, the boiler breaks, a medical bill pops up out of nowhere.
Things that can really derail you if you're not prepared. And the magic number seems to be
Generally, 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. It sounds like a lot, maybe, when you're starting out.
yeah, it can feel daunting.
But it's your financial safety net. It stops you from having to rack up high-interest debt when things go sideways.
And where should you keep this fund? Not just under the mattress, I assume.
Definitely not. Needs to be accessible, but not too accessible, A high-yield savings account is often recommended. Or maybe an online savings account, something with no fees. The key is it's separate from your everyday checking account, but you can get to it relatively quickly in a true emergency.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about something that can sink even the best financial plans. Debt. Especially credit card debt.
Oh yeah, credit cards are useful tools, no doubt. But carrying a balance. Our sources strongly advise against it.
Why? Because the interest rates are just killer.
Exactly. Often upwards of 20%. Think about that. Even a small balance you don't pay off starts growing fast. Compounding interest starts working against you.
Like a silent financial drain.
Pretty much. So if you do have high-interest debt, there are strategies. One that came up a lot is the avalanche method.
Avalanche. Sounds dramatic. How does it work?
It's about focus. You make the minimum payments on all your debts,
Yeah.
right? But any extra money you can find, you throw it all at the debt with the highest interest rate.
Ah, okay. Tackle the most expensive debt first.
Yep. Once that one's gone, you take all the money you were paying on it, minimum plus extra, and attack the debt with the next highest rate. Creates a snowball or, well, an avalanche effect.
That sounds really efficient. Smart. Okay, so managing existing debt is one thing, but what about just basic financial hygiene? Like paying bills?
Crucial. Paying bills on time, every single time. It sounds simple, but it's huge.
Why is it so important? Besides avoiding late fees, I mean.
Your credit score. Late payments are poison for your credit score. Your payment history actually makes up about 35% of your FICO score, which is, the main one lenders look at.
Wow, 35%. That's significant.
It really is. A lower score means higher interest rates on loans, mortgages, car loans. It can even affect renting an apartment sometimes.
So, practical tips for staying on top of bills.
Well, the sources suggest simple things. List out all your bills and due dates. Set up auto pay where you can carefully make sure the funds are there. Use calendar reminders, phone alerts, whatever works for you.
Be organized about it.
Basically, yes. And, credit cards, when used responsibly, pay the full balance each month. They actually help build your credit history. Lenders see you can handle credit.
So, it's about using them wisely and monitoring your score.
Definitely. Keep an eye on it. FICO scores range from 300 to 850.
Yeah.
Knowing your number gives you a sense of your creditworthiness.
And besides payment history, what else goes into that score?
Other factors include how much debt you owe overall, how long you've had credit accounts open, the different types of credit you use, like credit cards, installment loans, and whether you've applied for a lot of new credit recently.
Right. And checking your actual credit report.
Yes, absolutely. You should do that regularly. Look for errors, any signs of fraud. You can get a free report from each of the main bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, once a year. Annualcreditreport.com is the official site.
Good tip. Okay, so groundwork laid, debt under control, credit looking healthy. Now for the exciting part, building wealth, saving and investing.
Yes. And the number one piece of advice here, start early. As early as you possibly can.
Why is starting early so critical?
Compound interest. It's almost like magic. Your money earns interest, and then that interest starts earning its own interest.
The snowball effect you mentioned earlier, but working for you this time.
Exactly. The longer your money has to grow, the more powerful that effect becomes. It's how wealth is built over time.
And retirement is the big goal this usually applies to, right?
It's a major one. Sources always mention employer plans like 401k, especially if your employer offers a match.
That's free money.
It literally is free money. You absolutely have to take advantage of that if it's offered. Don't leave it on the table.
What about other options besides work plans?
There are IRAs. Traditional and Roth IRAs are common. SEP IRAs if you're self-employed. Lots of options to explore there. But the sources also make a key point. Just saving money might not be enough for long-term goals. Meaning you likely need to invest it to outpace inflation and really grow it significantly.
Okay. So saving is step one, investing is step two for growth.
Pretty much. Investing helps your money work harder for you over the long haul. For goals beyond just retirement too, like maybe saving for a child's education, 529 plans came up in our sources for that.
And investing involves things like?
Well, common options are mutual funds, where your money is pooled with others, ETFs, which are similar but trade like stocks, or even individual stocks and bonds if you're comfortable with that level of involvement.
But investing isn't risk-free, right?
Not at all. That's a crucial point. Higher potential returns usually come with higher risk. That's why diversification is so important.
The old don't put all your eggs in one basket advice.
That's exactly it. Spreading your money across different types of investments, stocks, bonds, maybe real estate, different sectors, helps cushion the blow if one particular investment doesn't do well.
Makes sense. What about trying to, time the market? Buy low, sell high.
Market timing. Most sources advise against trying that. It's incredibly difficult, even for professionals.
So what's the alternative?
Generally, a long-term strategy. Build a diversified portfolio that matches your goals and how much risk you're comfortable with, and then stick with it. Ride out the ups and downs. Don't panic sell when the market dips.
Discipline, basically. Okay, so we're building wealth, managing risk. What about protecting what we're building? Insurance comes to mind.
Yes, protection is key. Insurance is fundamental. Health insurance obviously is vital. Car insurance is usually legally required.
And homeowners or renters insurance?
Also critical. Protect your home, your belongings from things like fire, theft, certain disasters.
What about other types of insurance?
Sources mention long-term disability insurance that protects your income if you can't work due to illness or injury. And term life insurance, especially if you have people depending on your income, like kids or a spouse.
Good point. And is it true insurance gets more expensive as you age?
Generally, yes, especially life and long-term disability insurance. So locking it in earlier can sometimes be beneficial cost-wise.
Okay. Another protection piece that came up, maybe less talked about, is estate planning.
Right. Wills, trusts, that sort of thing. It sounds like something only for the very wealthy, but it's really not.
It's for everyone.
Pretty much. It's about making sure your assets, whatever you have, go where you want them to go after you pass. And also planning for incapacity. Things like a living will, stating your healthcare wishes, or a healthcare power of attorney designating someone to make medical decisions if you can't.
So it avoids confusion and stress for your family later on.
Exactly. It provides clarity and ensures your wishes are followed during what's already a difficult time.
Okay, good advice. Now, being financially responsible doesn't mean you can't be smart about everyday choices, right? Like credit card rewards.
Absolutely. If you're disciplined, and this is the key, if you pay your balance in full every month, then yeah, using credit cards for rewards like travel miles or cash back can be great.
But the trap is.
The trap is letting that balance roll over and paying high interest. That interest will almost always wipe out any rewards you earned. So pay it off.
Got it. What about choosing where to bank? Doesn't matter much.
It can, yeah. You've got traditional banks with branches, credit unions, which are member-owned, and online-only banks. They all have pros and cons.
What should you look for?
Things like fees, account fees, ATM fees, interest rates on savings accounts, how good is their website or app, ATM access if that's important to you. You want a bank or credit union that fits how you manage your money.
Makes sense. Find the right fit. Now, we've covered a lot, but finance isn't static. Things change. How do you stay informed?
Continuous learning is vital. And luckily, there are tons of resources now. Our sources mentioned YouTube channels dedicated to finance, lots of podcasts.
Like this one.
Haha, indeed. And books, of course. The Richest Man in Babylon kept coming up as a really good starting point for basic principles.
What about more structured learning?
Sure, you can find online courses, sometimes free, from universities on platforms like edX. Even places like Morningstar have investing classrooms online. And financial websites like Investopedia are great for looking up specific terms or concepts.
So lots of ways to keep building that financial knowledge.
Definitely. No shortage of information out there.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap this up, let's maybe circle back to the core principles, the big takeaways.
Sounds good. I mean, at its heart, a lot of it boils down to a few key things.
Like spending less than you earn.
That's number one. You have to live within your means. Then pay yourself first.
Meaning automate your savings. Put money aside before you spend.
Exactly. Make saving regular and automatic. And finally, just strive to make informed decisions about your money. Don't just drift along.
Some sources mention budgeting frameworks like the 50-30-20 rule.
Yeah, that's a popular one. 50% of your after-tax income for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings, and debt repayment. It's a guideline, not rigid, but can be a helpful starting point for allocation.
And the last piece seems to be remembering this isn't a one-time thing.
Absolutely not. Your financial plan needs to evolve as your life changes. You get married, have kids, change jobs, approach retirement. You need to review and adjust your plan periodically.
Right. So quick recap. Understand where you are financially, build that emergency fund, super important.
Manage debt smartly, especially high-interest debt. Start saving and investing early for the long term.
Protect yourself and your assets with the right insurance and basic estate planning.
And never stop learning. Keep educating yourself about finance.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah, think about this. What's one small change, one concrete step you can take today, or maybe this week, based on what we've talked about? Something that could really make a difference to your financial future down the road.
Just one thing to start with.
Exactly. Don't get overwhelmed trying to do everything at once. Pick one thing and do it.
Great advice. We definitely encourage you to explore these topics further, find resources that resonate with you, and really tailor this information to your own situation.
Here's to building that stronger financial foundation.
One step at a time.